Alright, what's up you guys? This is Devin from Stitcher Effects Studios and I'm excited about the Panasonic G9. And the reason being is because not only is it cheap, it is a 4K camera, and not only does it do good video, but it also does great pictures. And this is not something that I thought Panasonic was going to focus on. This is so out of left field in my opinion for Panasonic, because Panasonic is known as the video beast. Panasonic 6K photo mode with video and 4K video mode and 30 frames a second and awesome low light and all this other stuff, and the G7 with awesome low light at like $400, and you got the 4K in that and all this other stuff. Panasonic was the video beast, and video beast at a low price gave us what we wanted. And you have log forms and all this other stuff for professionals and people who are cinematographers and indie filmmakers who want to grade and color grade and do all this noise reduction, all this other stuff. You had this in like a $1,500, $2,000 package. And then Metabol's came out with the speed booster that even gave you another cheap option to actually put essentially a different sensor on your camera, opening up your camera to a lot more light. Now with this G9, it's coming out with pretty much all the specs from the GH5, but the big claim to fame is not actually the video in this, it's the photos. And the reason being is because it's 20 megapixels, but it's anti-aliased 20 megapixels. Now on top of that, you have all these other features. Now I'm not going to go through all the features, that's not why I'm here in this video. I'm just really just going over my thoughts in the discussion about the G9. But you have all the features from the other Panasonic cameras, which gives you that was it 5-axis, 4-axis, 5-axis image stabilization, where you actually have a stabilized sensor and not a stabilized lens. Think about what this does. If you have stable images, you have cleaner images at lower shutter speeds. And if you can lower your shutter speed, you can lower your ISO, which means less noise. So even though that micro four thirds sensor, which this is a smaller sensor than the crop frame sensor and the full frame sensor, but the only deficiency with that is the focal range and the amount of noise that it produces. So if you're able to stabilize that sensor and get lower shutter speeds with sharper images, especially landscapes and still life, then you're able to get a better image at a slower shutter speed than a DSLR would. Because if your DSLR is pumping out 50 megapixels, you need to ramp up that shutter speed because you're going to see a lot more image shake. And then if you have an optically stabilized lens but not a sensor stabilized system or lens, then you're going to be missing out on all the perks that this new technology has, because optical stabilization can't stabilize as much as an actual in-camera sensor can. So with all that being said, you can have stable video. It's going to look more like a gimbal or a jib or a crane or whatever you're using. If you're a video guy, it's going to look like a tripod or a running gun situation with like a Ronin or something like that, just by hand holding it. You would have to shell out another grand for a good stabilization, or grand or more for good stabilization equipment for a DSLR, which is really, really heavy and has all these heavy lenses. So for Panasonic to actually focus on photos, it makes them a part of the game now. Not only is it Sony, not only is it Nikon, it's Panasonic too. So with that being said, you have 20 megapixels anti-aliased on that stabilized sensor. You also have the metabolic speed booster that you can put on there. So on top of that, you can make this a crop frame sensor now. You can add more light, and so now you have a crop frame sensor if you buy the speed booster with 20 megapixels anti-aliased. On that anti-aliased note, Canon hadn't even put, I don't even think they have 3 cameras that are anti-aliased. They got the 5DSR. That's the only anti-aliased camera that they have. And this had anti-aliasing passing through filter, whatever they did to cancel out the filter. But my thing is, for those of you who don't know, anti-aliasing filters are basically filters in front of your sensor that keep your camera from aliasing, basically having those lines and stuff, in places where lines aren't supposed to be. But a lot of people could not find aliasing in images, and they were using it in real life situations, whereas people who were using it in lab could always get aliasing and all this other stuff. Now aliasing is a problem, but with all that being said, if you can't manifest that problem, then what's the use of the anti-aliasing filter? And a lot of people were like, hey, this anti-aliasing filter is making everything less sharp. So that's why Canon came out with the 5DSR. I was like, hey, we have the 5DS, which has the anti-aliasing filter, but we have a cancellation filter, which makes that 50 megapixels even stronger. But Panasonic was like, well, we can give you that and at half the price and make it one of our flagship that can do it all cameras with 4K. Canon does not even remotely have 4K in most of their cameras. The newer cameras, 5DS, 5D Mark IV has it, 1DX Mark II has it. But it has this inefficient codec that's motion JPEG, and you need extreme cards, extreme this, that, and the other. I've never had a problem shooting 4K with the Panasonic GH4. And I've only had my cheap little SD card. I've only had a cheap little SD card. I've never had a problem shooting 4K with the GH4. And probably the same way with the GH5. I just hadn't had my hands on it yet. So with all that being said, I am so excited for the Panasonic G9. It has so much promise. And even though I shoot with Canon mainly, my whole point of getting Canon was I can do video and photos. And it was good video and photos. Now, this does not take away from Canon dual pixel autofocus. It is legendary. But that being said, okay, no 4K, no image stabilization, anti-aliasing filter, less sharpness, all these other things are going against it without this software backing it up. So with all that being said, guys, I'm excited about the G9. It's retailed at something really, really cheap, and it's going to bring down the GH5's price and the GH4's price and the G7's price, which is already low to begin with. And all these are 4K cameras that are more than capable. So with all that being said, I'm done with Central Effects Studios, and I'm excited about the G9. Happy holidays, guys. If I don't see you before then, a happy Christmas or a Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy holidays, Happy New Year's, all that other stuff. If you celebrate, for those of you who don't, just whatever you celebrate. If you don't, have a great day. Devin with Central Effects Studios, and I'm out.